And there it is right there. So there it is right there, Agbado Ewa and all that. That song we were played all the way through to 2027 and beyond. That's a classic. You know, the 2023 election was actually a classic election. It was a seminal moment in time, and the way that election played out was one of the most compelling things that has ever come out of that country or that we have ever experienced as a country. So it was an epic moment in time. You know, it was the night of the long knives and the space of the sharp brains, and it was a kill or be killed, and the winner emerged. Do you remember those infamous words, or famous or infamous, depending on your picadillo within the political space? Do you remember those famous or infamous words of Tony Elumelu, the last man standing? So that was what played out February 2023. That you know, we've had seminal moments in time. We had June 12, which was a seminal moment in time. We had the Biafran war, which was a seminal moment in time. We had the Ojoko narrative, which was a seminal moment in time. And we've had several no, we've not really. We've had moments, but seminal moments that actually changed the trajectory of that country. So the latest now to add to that list was that February 2023. That was a moment in time when, and by the way, what happened in 2023 February? That was the truest, most representative election we've ever had. You know, that was the best election yet we've ever had. You know, the whole country came together. All of the representations were represented. We had a Yoruba man, a Northern man, and then we had a Southeastern man, a Yoruba Hausa Fulani, and then an Igbo man. So all of the big stake houses within the Nigerian paradigm was represented, and they fought it tooth and nail, and the margins were so minuscule that only a little tweak here and there decided it. Peter Obi won Lagos, Tinubu won, did they win Borno? You know, so all of these sort of things, all that played out to tell us then that what happened in February 2023 was the truest representation yet of the will of the people. That was the best election we've ever had. That was the election yet that we've ever had, that the winner emerged as a true and an authentic representation of the will of the people. So that was that. But that's not even what we're talking about here. What we are talking about, what this session is about this Russian runs girl that has found her way into the Nigerian Senate and is causing a kerfuffle and commotion there. Natasha Akpoti, of course, who now, we're seeing now the death nail being administered to her political career. So we're seeing the death nail being administered to the Natasha Akpoti political career. All of it are self-induced, self-inflicted injury, all of what's going on. So you may not want to sympathize with her as you might instinctually first feel to do. So it's all self-inflicted injury. So she's now come up with these allegations, and the decks are starting to cascade, but not in her favor. So we went to we reviewed slightly the senator in Nwebonyi. We reviewed his contributions to that space sometime during yesterday's session, but we're going to revisit that now and give it the fullness of our attention now. So let me not stress it too much. Let's just get into it. So essentially, this is a reaction then to Senator Nwebonyi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. This is a reaction now to Senator Nwebonyi's reaction to the Natasha Akpoti narrative. So we did look at this yesterday, but we'll look at it again today as a standalone.
Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Nwebonyi, has rejected former Senate President Bukola Saraki's suggestion that the current Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, should submit to an open investigation over sexual harassment allegations. Nwebonyi, who represents Ebonyi North Senatorial District, argued that Saraki's comparison of his own case to Akpabio's was a misplaced priority and a flawed analogy. Nwebonyi contended that while Saraki's call for transparency was noted, the circumstances surrounding the allegations against Akpabio were vastly different from those in Saraki's own past case, which he described as unrelated in context, substance, and motivation. Saraki had previously urged Akpabio to ensure a transparent investigation into the sexual harassment claims made by Senator Natasha Akpoti and to appear before the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions for a fair resolution. He also recalled his own experience during his tenure when he faced allegations regarding custom duties and willingly appeared before the Ethics Committee to clear his name. Joining us now to further discuss the allegations of sexual harassment against Senate President Godswill Akpabio by Senator Natasha Akpoti and the calls for an independent probe by ACF. Senator Saraki is Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Nwebonyi. Senator, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's pretty straightforward. Although you are saying that these are quite different apples and oranges, but the question is this, as they say, if there are allegations of this grave nature, don't you think that investigations should be opened and the Ethics Committee of the National Assembly, or to be very precise, the Nigerian Senate, should look into this matter? And rather than just probably tossing it aside and saying that these are apples and oranges, comparing the issue of Bukola Saraki as it then was when he was Senate President and the present Senate President, Godswill Akpabio.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. Remember last week I was here to clear the course as to what happened at the plenary between Senator Natasha and the Senate, not the Senate President. Because what transpired was a complete violation of our rules by Senator Natasha, and the Senate Chief Whip called her attention to that, and the Senate President, who is the Chief Law Officer of the Senate, how to enforce the rules of the Senate. So it's very important to keep the record straight. This matter started between Senator Natasha and the Nigerian Senate.
But it has blown beyond that already.
I'm coming. Now, a few days back, we had another version of this story, where the same person abandoned the fact in issue to talk about another thing. However, before I go in there, let me react to the submission of the former Senate President. I would do respect to his office. He knows very well that the facts of the two cases are not the same. His case was a case of importation of official vehicle. This is a case of violation of the Senate rules, and the committee on ethics and privileges have been set up in line with our rules to look into it. So there is no point relating the two because they are not the same, both in facts and figures. So that is that. Now, on the issue of sexual harassment as alleged by Senator Natasha, as God will have it, I am an eyewitness. And like I posted in the social media, I narrated what transpired. On that fateful day of 8 December 2023, I was among the senators that attended the birthday ceremony of the Senate President. Right from the Victor Atta Airport, I drove in the same vehicle with the said senator, with her husband. In fact, I was in the front seat while the senator and her husband was at the back seat. We attended series of programs of the Senate President within Uyo town. At the end of the day, we moved to Ekotekbene, the hometown of the Senate President. I remember very well, as we were coming down from the vehicle, she was complaining of her shoe penny her that made her and her husband to stay back while I rushed inside the building to join other senators to inspect the building of the Senate President. I must tell you for free, and that is the truth, Senator Natasha never joined us inspecting the buildings of the Senate President. She was seated at the parlor with her husband. The Senate President took us around, took us to the chapel, and...
all right. So you must bear in mind that what we have is an eyewitness account to the allegation that Natasha Akpoti is leveling against the Senate President. And fortuitously, as our fate would have it, this chap here, Senator Nwebonyi, he was actually, not only was he an eyewitness, it was central to the very theme of what Natasha was talking about. So what he's telling us here was that, yes, they went to Uyo to celebrate Akpabio's birthday at his invitation. It was there was a convoy of them, the particular vehicle that was taking Natasha Akpoti and her husband. He was also hitchhiking on that vehicle. He was sat in the front seat, the couple in the back seat. And what is going on to tell us there is that when they got to the venue, Natasha was complaining that her shoes were so tight that they were chafing her feet. And she did not even get out of that vehicle in sufficient enough time. But he, Senator Nwebonyi, he got down very quickly because he has no business with the couple. They can deal with themselves. He was there for the occasion. So he got down very quickly to rush in then to the venue of the event to join his other colleague senators that were invited to the occasion. So already this is starting to run contrary to what Natasha was leading us to believe. Because what Natasha was leading us to believe was essentially, if you read the leaves of what Natasha Akpoti said, what she was leading us to believe it was somewhat of a private event that her and her husband were invited to the Akpabio household to give them a tour of his building. He held her by hand and walked in front as her husband walked behind. So this was the narrative that Natasha painted, but now the truth and fact of the matter is that it is actually in total contrast to that, because what we're being told now by Senator Nwebonyi was that it is not only not the case that it was a private event that Natasha and her husband were invited to. A whole slew of Nigerian senators were invited to that event. That's one. And Natasha Akpoti at no point in time was ever alone in that crowd with the Senate President, and is giving us a front seat eyewitness account of what actually transpired on that occasion.
Called those who are Catholic senators to join him in a holy mass. We celebrated the holy mass, and at the end of the day, ended up in her garden, and he hosted us. There was never a time the Senate President touched Natasha. There was never a time the Senate President told Natasha, oh, you like my house, I will come back here to have a good time. That never happened. And Senator Natasha knows that very well. So it is disheartening and unbelievable for a senator of the Federal Republic to act of mere provocation simply because you were given a new seat and probably a committee was changed, to get up to lay a false allegation against a man that is old enough to be your father. Up till now, I'm still in shock because it's unbelievable.
All right, Mr. Nwebonyi,
and let me cap it up. From the house of the Senate President, I still drove in the same vehicle with Senator Natasha and the husband. I was still in the front seat to 4 Points Hotel, where we all lodged. The following morning, I was with the husband. We had a walk together within the hotel. He never told me of anything that the wife was harassed. Of course, it never happened. For crying out loud, it never happened. The Senate President never had a handshake with Natasha in his house, let alone toasting her. And think of it. How do you think a sane man will toast a married woman in the presence of over 20 senators, in the presence of her husband? Come on. This is unbelievable and should be condemned.
All right, Mr. Nwebonyi, you've made it clear that you're an eyewitness.
I was there.
You've stated what you witnessed.
With over 20 senators. Senator Stangu was there. I can name them.
It's clear that the point is you said you're an eyewitness, and that's completely fine. And like Aaron mentioned, even though it was a different context with Bukola Saraki, the fact that you witnessed this and you're saying that it didn't happen, then you should probably be at the forefront pushing for transparency to clear the name and the allegations as opposed to...
Of course, this allegation is not before the Senate. As far as I'm concerned, it's a hearsay. Senator Natasha never...
So not what Senator Nwebonyi is saying there, because he's going to repeat this same statement about 10 more times because of really the agenda-led sort of pushback that is getting from the presenters. So listen, I'm going to scroll it back about 30 seconds so you hear him again. What Senator Nwebonyi is saying there is that Natasha has not submitted any complaint or allegation to the Senate. So for an investigation to be instituted, the Senate does not scour Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rise channels, whatever, to see who said what, and then they set up a committee to start to investigate whoever said. That's not how the Senate works. And also, that is not our expectation of how the Senate should work. Our expectation and how the Senate does work, so both our expectation and in actual fact, how the Senate does work, is that somebody petitions something, somebody formalizes something in terms of notifying the Senate formally that I need this to be addressed. Then the Senate then looks at that, and if they find sufficient enough within that complaint, they then institute a process to address whatever the matter is. So that's how the Senate works. It doesn't work off the back of somebody said something on Arise TV or on Berekete media or whatever, and then the Senate said that's not how it works. And also, that is not our expectation of how it should work. How it should work is that somebody institutes either something via the Nigerian police, a formal institution for investigation and complaint, or directly to the Nigerian Senate, and then that triggers then a process that seeks to address that. So do you understand that? So I need you to understand that the way the process works and should work, it's not that somebody said something on Arise TV and then the Senate then institutes a committee to investigate it. No. The way it should work is that somebody petitions the Senate that these are my grievances, these are my concerns, these are my complaints. Somebody petitions, notifies the Senate then looks at those grievances, those complaints, those whatever, and if they find sufficient enough in there to trigger a process, a committee is then set up to investigate. That is how the Senate works, and also as taxpayers, that is how we expect and insist that the Senate should work. So that is what Senator Nwebonyi has just explained to the two rascally obedience that is contending with, but you will hear him repeat that same thing about 10 more times, because of course they are on an agenda and he's not having it. Let's carry on.
It's 2023, where this alleged harassment happened. She never reported this to the Senate.
But why are you against the call that's being made by Bukola Saraki, if now you've confirmed that you witnessed it and there's nothing to hide?
Let me tell you something. We have rules in Senate. It's only when you present an issue at the plenary that Senate can set up a committee, not on a hearsay. Bukola Saraki, that's a personal opinion. He was a Senate president. He knows the rules of the Senate. He knows who can't act on hearsay. It is a hearsay. Senator Natasha never presented any issue before us.
Okay, based on your eyewitness experience and your experience, or the place that you hold as the chief whip, yes, how would you advise that we see this matter through?
Let her read the rules.
Go ahead. Let's know how this should be handled.
I can't say she knows what to do. Let her read the rules.
No, enlighten
I'm
us.
not her lawyer.
But if we were to draw a parallel between what happened with Senator Bukola Saraki,
yes,
then when he was Senate President,
yes,
I do not think the issue about what they call it, the import duties concerning the vehicles, the SUV vehicles, that was a bone of contention. Was presented before.
It was presented before, and it was assigned to a committee. It was presented by senator. It came by word of motion.
Okay, if you have said that.
No, let me. You have to know our rules. Okay. It came by word of motion. But if you want the Senate to act on any issue, probably your privilege has been infringed, or you have a report to make, you come by word of motion. All the senators will hear it. It will be put to vote. If you find merit in your complaint, that is only when it will be referred to the Ethics and Privileges Committee.
But Senator Nwebonyi, now where I'm going to with this is, already the Senate, some are brandishing the Senate as very misogynistic.
It's not so.
So if that's not the case, when allegations of sexual misconduct is being raised, shouldn't it be taken with seriousness rather than shoving it aside? Because she has set aside of.
All right, so there's quite a lot of misdirection in I don't quite know his name, the fat boy in the suit, the presenter. There's quite a lot of misdirection in what he's saying. He's saying that an allegation is being made. Yes, so that's true. Something is being alleged, and if something is being alleged, then an allegation is being made. So that is true. But then he's saying that it's being brushed aside. It is not being brushed aside, as we can patently visually see. The whole of the Senate, the women in the Senate, the men in the Senate, everybody in the Senate, apart from the two protagonists, everybody in the Senate is frontally engaging with this narrative. So if they are, the very fact that the chief whip of the Senate, Senator Nwebonyi, is the chief whip of the Senate, I'm not sure if he is still or it was previously, but somebody of his seniority, for him to come out to address the matter in the public fora, that is to tell you then that it's not being swept aside. So it's a self-contradicting, it's a self-contradicting statement that guy has just made right there, that a senior member of the parliament is in your television studio to address a matter of high octane within the polity, and you are saying it's been swept aside. If it is being swept aside, then what is it doing there to present a counter narrative to what you're trying to propagate? So this guy, of course, so already you know that his agenda led from that cusp that they are coming from.
The story. You were not there with them from the night into the morning.
I was there all through, and I left with her.
She could have returned back.
She couldn't return back.
So therein comes the desperation. So you see how desperate that is. You were not there to witness what could have happened. I was there. You were not there every single moment that Natasha was with Godswill Akpabio. I was there. So if Senator Nwebonyi is saying that he was there in lockstep every single moment that Natasha was with Godswill Akpabio during that occasion and event, if she's saying that, then the next line of question is then to interrogate how he's able to defend that bold statement. But rather than interrogate that bold statement, this desperate presenter, who is clearly of poor training, is now leaping that, oh, maybe she came back. Can you imagine that? Tai Solarin will be turning in his grave what Nigerian journalism has turned into.
Taken with seriousness, rather than shoving it aside, because she has set aside of the story. You were not there with them from the night into the morning.
I was there all through, and I left with her.
She could have returned back.
She couldn't return back. Listen to her facts. She didn't return back. The president was there with his wife.
So she believes. I'm not saying whether it's true or not.
Yes.
So sorry, I'll try not to pause it too often. There is something called rapier wheat. Rapier wheat. RAPIER R-A-P-I-E-R, rapier, as in rapid, but quicker still. So rapier, and then wit, W-I-T. So rapier wit or rapier wit, however your inflection of accentation is, rapier or rapier wit is the speed of thought and then the quicker speed of rethought. So it's called verbal jousting. You know jousting, you know when they do that fencing thing with the sword and they do ole, ole, that's jousting. So what you are saying, that back and forth between the erudite senator and the desperate presenter is essentially the speediness of thought. So they're engaging in a moment of immediate thought and counter thought. And you can see then that Senator Nwebonyi is of a vastly superior capacitation in terms of brain functioning than this guy in the suit who essentially is just monkeying it up.
Believes that she has been wronged. And she was put in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
Whether it's true or not, yes. Why don't we leave that for the ethics committee to decide? As
that
against shooting it down.
That is only if and only if the matter is presented before us. Get it right.
So that's why I said.
Oh, all right. So that's the second time now that that's the second time now that the senator again has redirected this guy to the fact that for a process to be ignited, for a process to be triggered, something has to be formally presented. So why don't you let the ethics committee determine it? Yes, we're happy to have the ethics committee determine it just as soon as Natasha presents a complaint to the Senate. So her going on Facebook or whatever it is that she went to Berekete TV, that doesn't constitute a formal notification to the Senate. No, that doesn't trigger any process. What triggers a process is her formalizing a complaint with the Nigerian Senate. So this is the second time now that he has explained that procedural due process walkthrough to this panel that is sitting on. But this is not going to be the last time because they're not hearing any of that. They're just looking for an opportunity to bring down Godswill Akpabio and by extension undermine the sitting government. That is the sole purpose of their agenda.
The first allegation is this. Remember how she started. She came on air that the Senate president is suppressing the voice of female senators.
Yes.
I'm coming. That was her first allegation.
Yes.
And we said no. I came here and said no. We're not suppressing the voice of the female senators. All the 4 female senators in the 10 senates are all committee chairmen, not minding that they are first-timers. And by the practice, as a first-timer, you ought to have understudied the proceedings of how a committee meetings used to be before you can chair it. Because a committee chairman is like a Senate president. You preside over the committee. You oversight ministers and MDAs. So you need to have an experience. But because of the love the Senate president and the 10th Senate has for women, these 4 women are all committee chairmen. I can name them. Herself, Senator Kingibe, Senator Diat, and the former deputy governor of Rivers. They are all committee chairmen. How do you think you believe her that the Senate president is suppressing the female?
So just from what Senator Nwebonyi said there, not only are the female senators not being suppressed, they are actually being unduly advantaged. Do you understand? Not only are the female senators not being suppressed, as been alleged by the cry wolf sort of Russian Akpoti, not only are they not being suppressed, they're actually being unduly advantaged. So it's giving us the narrative there. Natasha chairs about 2-3 committees within the Senate. She's a first-time senator. So she doesn't even have and not only is she a first-time senator, she actually came in 6 months after the Senate was inaugurated because she contended her elections through the courts and then she won at the courts for her to then get the mandate to come into the Senate. And that whole process took that longer time. You know, the Nigerian judicial system, notoriously slow. So that whole system took that longer time in order then for her to come in 6 months later after the Senate had been inaugurated, the new entrants have been orientated into the system, all of that. So she has a 6 months back miss that she has to catch up with. So with all of that still, she was made chairperson of 2 or 3 committees. So with that, how can she be suppressed with that? Not only is she not being suppressed or any of the other female senators, not only are they not being suppressed, they are being unduly advantaged in order to encourage them more female participation within the Senate. So again, Natasha, a pathological liar.
Is it too wild to be imagined? Or what are you saying that it can never happen?
It didn't happen.
Okay. Are you saying it can never happen?
But it can happen, but it didn't happen.
Okay, that's still based on what you said you witnessed, and that's completely fine. But now, do you think
now there's a platform? She was talking, and I posted this eyewitness account. Senator Natasha did not controvert any of my statement therein.
She doesn't have to.
She has to.
Not necessarily.
Let her come up and say that I was not there, or that I didn't drive in the same car with her.
Okay.
Let her come out and say it.
Do you believe?
She can say it.
Do you believe that the Senate Ethics Committee lacks the impartiality needed to fairly investigate allegations against its own president? And if so, what does that say about the committee's overall credibility?
Every committee is independent. If there's someone the Senate president will appear. Senate is a very serious institution. A resolution of a committee, no man can thwart it. The Senate president cannot change it. That is the rule.
True.
The resolution of a committee, no human being can change it. It's only a court of law. No human being can change it. And if the committee deemed it fit to invite the Senate president, he must appear.
All right, Senator Nwebonyi. Now, from the look of things, it seems the Senate is just sweeping this aside, or majority of the senators.
We're not sweeping it aside. Remember.
I wonder why he keeps saying that the Senate is sweeping it aside. We have Senator Nwebonyi right there addressing it. He's a very senior functionary within the Senate. We've had Senator Ireti Kingibe come out to address it. We've had Senator Okwemyemi come out to address it. We've had the whole of the top echelons of the Nigerian Senate, by the Senate president, who is the main antagonist, with Natasha being the main protagonist. So outside of the main antagonist, we've had all of the senior spaces within the Senate come out to address this particular matter, both male and female. So you cannot say it's been ignored, and you cannot say it's been swept aside, because that is factually not the case. It's been addressed and confronted frontally, as we are witnessing yet again.
Get my point clear. The issue is not before the Senate. And if she brings it before the Senate, it will be referred to the appropriate committee. And the Senate president will not.
And that is the third or fourth time now that, again, this senator is now explaining then the processes of triggering an investigation within the Senate. So he said it 3-4 times, but he's going to probably say 10 more times, because it doesn't chime with the agenda that these people are trying to propel. That, oh, the girl has said something on Brekete TV, and therefore the Senate must set up a committee, bring in all of the cameras from CNN to CBS to NTA and the whole world media, Al Jazeera. Everybody must come in and broadcast it globally to the whole world, and even transmit it via satellites to Mars. So this is what is going on. You can see the stark nakedness of it, the desperation that we're seeing in play.
No, but the body language of the senators here, the majority are already shooting her down before she even arrives.
Let her do the right thing. Let her do the right thing. The point we are trying to draw home here is that this is a complete falsehood. This is an attempt to discredit the Senate president. And this is not the first time. Just give me some time. This is not the first time this woman is doing this. This is a woman that have accused Yaya Bello of sexual harassment. This is the same woman that have accused the. I'm coming. Allow me to flow.
Probably disprove.
Allow me to flow.
Okay.
This is the same woman that accused Reno Mokri, the former media aide to Jonathan, of sexual harassment. This is a woman I saw in a video yesterday accusing a minister of sexual harassment. Are you the only woman in Nigeria, Senator Natasha? What is wrong with you?
Oh, your mic.
But Senator Nwebonyi,
1 second.
This is madness.
Senator Nwebonyi, just because
Nigerian women should rise against it. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Senator Natasha is spoiling game for Nigerian women trying to enter politics because nobody will vote for a woman. No, I'm telling you, if women can behave this way, then there is danger.
Well, that's a generalization. That's a generalization.
Yeah, that's not a generalization. That is actually a key point being made by Senator Nwebonyi there. What Natasha Akpoti is doing is a real disservice to women in politics, trying to sexualize the process and use what we colloquially call bottom power to get her way. And this is a woman notorious for making this particular sort of allegations, by the way. She's made it over several decades. None of it ever been proven. Reno Omokri, Yaya Bello, a senator, a minister, the Senate president, any and everybody, I'm sure she's made it copiously, plentifully within her own private space as well. So this is a woman of dubious character, known for being truth-averse, a pathological liar, and this is the person now that they are asking the Senate president to fall on his sword over. So this is what is in play here. All these people, the people that lost the February 2023 election, they're still not letting go. You can see the desperation.
My points.
Senator Nwebonyi, that's a
In
generalization.
this latent provocation, you accuse you want to physically harass me. Who are you?
All right.
A mother of 6.
she's a
A mother of 6 from different men. Without going to her character, this is a mother of 6 from different men.
All right, there's
I don't think that her character is not questionable.
all right, Mr.
Sexual
Nwebonyi.
allegations don't have anything to do with the.
Yeah.
And yes, we addressed it yesterday, and we must address it again today. Yes, our character comes into question. If somebody is making this sort of a salacious sort of allegation, crying wolf over sexual impropriety against somebody else, then the character of that person comes into play. You know, it's like a girl, a prostitute on Allen Avenue, telling somebody that alleging that a car pulled up on her and was calling her to come over for sex. A sex worker on Allen Avenue. So her character comes into question. So that's an extreme example, but the example makes the point. If she's alleging in the way that she is alleging, then we want to look at the quality and back history of that person making that allegation. So who is she? And when we look at the character of Natasha Akpoti, we can see then the dubiousness, that, she has a long history of this sort of allegations, and you cannot set that aside and say that this allegation stands new and as a standalone. So because her allegations against Reno Omokri is stood new and as a standalone, she withdrew it when that guy mocked her in public. Her allegations against Yaya Bello and everybody else in between, cascading up to this spot now, they all stood as standalones. But when there is sufficient enough of them, there's enough of an antecedent to indicate then that this woman is not one to be taken seriously.
The status or the number of children she has.
I'm telling you, it's
Can we
business.
ask you the next question?
I'm going to her character.
Can we
She has to change.
But this is misogyny here.
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Can we ask you the next question?
Go ahead, I'm here for you.
Whew, okay. How
We should condemn evil. That is the point.
All right.
I'm a Christian.
Are you ready for the next question?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
Okay. Now, how do you respond to critics who might view your defense of Akpabio as partisan loyalty rather than principled reasoning about proper investigative procedures?
Let me tell you something. I'm a principal officer of the 10th Senate. So I owe the Senate the duty to set the records right, not being loyal to one man. The Senate president is my president, yes, but outside that, I have that responsibility to tell Nigerians all I know as to what is transpiring in the Senate. And that is what I'm doing, so that the public will not be misled. Because in most cases, if you don't inform people as to the right facts and figures surrounding an issue, they'll be de-informed. So what I'm doing? I'm not a boy to the Senate president. I'm elected like him. But if you want to rubbish him because you feel you can do that, people like I'm a human rights activist. I can rise up and say no, because you can't do it to me, and they can't do it to you. If anybody tries to do it to you, I will also speak the same. What is condemnable should be condemned by all. This woman should know her limits. She should stop dealing with prominent Nigerians. If they do it in her mother's country, we don't do it here.
Senator Nwebonyi, you are using probably analogical deduction and probably trying to bring in reason to understand her actions.
Yes.
And that shouldn't be the case. It should rest on facts.
I'm speaking based on facts. I told you here.
Senator Nwebonyi, because it is wrong for you to say that because she has children with multiple men, yes, that she doesn't have the locus and she doesn't have the moral standing.
I didn't say so.
To accuse, to feel harassed.
I didn't say so.
No, that's what you said here on TV.
Say so.
You did say so.
She is a habitual accuser. She is a habitual accuser of men.
Also,
of sexual harassment.
Also, that is still not enough reason, yes, for you to say to dismiss a claim because, yes, she has a
That is not sufficient enough reasons to dismiss the claim, but that is reason enough to approach the claim with caution. Do you understand? So it's a subtle but clear distinction. That is not sufficient enough reason because the senator rightly said she is a habitual accuser of important personalities within the Nigerian political space. So she's a habitual accuser, but the fact that she is a habitual accuser is not sufficient enough reasons to dismiss the claim, but it is reason enough to approach that claim with caution because she has just such a long history of accusing prominent prominent personalities of sexual harassment, and not in one instance has it ever been founded. So if she has that backdrop, then rightly, her latest allegation and accusation now should and necessarily must be approached with caution.
Accuse 1, 2, yes, 3 people in time, but that's not enough reason to dismiss the claim. And that is why people are accusing the Nigerian Senate, the 10th.
You go by precedence.
In
reasoning, you go by precedence.
It doesn't work in law.
Yes.
In law, when cases of sexual harassment come up,
let me tell you
they do not use judicial precedence or stare decisis to decide whether or not she has the locus to sue.
We use it
because this is misogyny speaking here.
Because you are putting your character in question. If you are known for accusing people, today, I will say my sister is a thief. Tomorrow, I will say you are a thief.
To prove sexual harassment, character of the person.
It comes it's an issue.
It's not the first thing.
It's an issue. It is an issue.
At some point,
that is the law.
But not the first thing in the
That is the law.
It's not the
character comes in issue.
It is the evidence of what we have on ground.
She has no evidence.
All right, Mr. Nwebonyi.
Not the character.
She has no evidence.
All right, Mr. Nwebonyi.
You're not sure of that.
She has no. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm ready to come to court and testify. I'm an eyewitness.
You're an eyewitness.
She stated her case, where it happened, when it happened, and I was there.
Well, like you said, you're also not her lawyer, so you don't know all the facts that she has.
So this is the death nail on the Natasha narrative right there. So the senator there, Senator Nwebonyi, is leaving no room to maneuver for the Natasha narrative. She stated her case, she stated where it happened, and she stated when it did happen. And he was a front seat eyewitness to the entire duration of that space. So it leaves no room for her to maneuver. And what you will see subsequently, when Natasha does come out, either later on today or sometime tomorrow, she will put a variation to her narrative, because she has to vary it now and place it outside of the eyewitness counter narrative. So she, you know, when you tell a lie, you have to lie some more in order to hold on to the original lie. And that is what we're going to see play out with the Russian Natasha now, who now has been put in a desperate situation. A front seat eyewitness person of good functioning and good authority is ready to walk us through from the airport when they arrived at Uyo, all the way through their visitation to the house of the Senate president and their departure from Uyo. He's going to give us a step-by-step walkthrough of how Natasha interacted with that event. So he's ready to do that, but what does she do next? She's going to put a variance in her narrative.
Has and what she can submit as evidence. All right.
She can't change the facts.
Okay, so
even though she changes like chameleon. The other day she was talking of suppressing female voices. The other day she was talking of another seat to her. Today sexual harassment. Who knows what she will alleged tomorrow?
Let's wait and see.
We are watching.
Okay.
But Nigeria is too big for her.
All right.
The test net is too big for her.
Okay.
She can't toil us.
So let's expand.
She cannot.
If you have this kind of approach, how will she come freely to present her case?
What approach? Was she not here? Did I interrupt her?
All right, Mr. Nwebonyi.
Let's speak on my own point of view. You can't stop me.
Mr. Nwebonyi, can we expand this beyond Senator Natasha?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
With the way you've addressed this today, what message do you think your stance is?
With the way Nigeria is going, even calling her my dear sister now may well constitute, maybe she will allege further down the line that he called me my dear sister, he wanted to take off my pants. Sending to women in Nigeria who may face similar, let me finish, who may face similar workplace harassment issues.
There's no harassment
and are considering coming forward.
I take exception to that. No female politician in Nigeria have established.
No, you didn't listen to my question. Or you
I
didn't
listened to your question very well. I listened to your question.
No, I said, what message do you think your stance sends to women in Nigeria who may face similar workplace harassment issues and are considering coming forward?
Who has faced workplace harassment issue? I'm asking you, who has faced one?
I'm talking about women.
Yeah, tell me one woman that has faced such harassment.
Well, since you post, you might want to put that on social media.
No, tell me one before I answer you. If not, I won't answer you. Tell me one.
Fine. You don't have to answer that.
Tell me one. Because
you know what the senator is actually inviting, because you are making a broad generalized question, but what is the example that makes that point? So she is asking, what signal do you think your stance in this particular matter sends to the greater landscape about women facing sexual harassment within the workspace? So that was her question. So the senator is then inviting then, what is the example that makes the point that are ignited, that instituted, that underpins that question? So that's his question. But she couldn't then say Natasha because he has now defeated this Natasha narrative. So he's got her now in a vice grip and she wiggles out to escape.
Because your question is business.
If I to follow our question up.
Yes.
Before the Me Too movement, there was a stifling of voices for women in.
I wonder how long before they brought in the Me Too movement. It took them long enough. I thought they would have brought in Me Too at the very initial stages of this particular palaver.
The entertainment entertainment space in the US. But as soon as one issue came up, we began to see multiple issues come up. People coming out to speak against the likes of Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. These were power players who would have probably come out and be as bold and be brazen like you, saying that they have never harassed women. But when these women came up, they are answering for their crimes as we speak. So you cannot throw a blanket statement and say that no woman in the Nigerian Senate has ever been harassed. Can you boldly say that?
Give me one.
We don't know.
Then leave it until.
But at the same time, you cannot say it has never happened before.
Give me one.
Just because it hasn't been brought to the fore doesn't mean it has never happened before.
Give me one.
Don't worry. Maybe who knows? This conversation might be the beginning point of something to happen.
Give me one.
At least we have Senator Natasha on record.
She has not proved it until she proves them.
At least we have one on record.
It's an allegation. Unfounded one at that.
Yes, we know it's an allegation.
Baseless one at that. Out of malice, afterthought. Can't you see it? Can't you see it?
Okay.
All right. Now, if the situations were reversed and opposition senators were shielding one of their own from investigation, what would your position be?
I said it here that if a case is mailed out against the Senate president, that he must appear before the committee. He's not above the committee. But as of today, none has been made against the Senate president.
But the way you sounding, do you think she will be feeling safe to come?
Why not? The Senate is for everybody.
Yes.
She has been there.
Yes.
She'll be there tomorrow. I'm sure she's in the office now. What are you talking about? Who is against her?
Well, a lot of people have been very vociferous in the way
because they are condemning her because of her actions. But that does not mean that she can't access the Senate. No. She has her freedom. She's a Nigerian.
Yes, she is
elected senator. But what we are saying is that her attitude is unbecoming of a senator of the Federal Republic. That is the point. Take it home.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to go home now. Thank you so much.
And there it is. That is one of the most epic performances that I've yet seen from a Nigerian senator. BT, good to have you. People have been asking about you.
I've been on vacation now. I've been out of the. I've been I've been busy.
You've been partying all over the place.
Mine has to rest now. Have you been?
So, what are you making then of this Russian siren that is heating up the Nigerian polity? This your girl from Ukraine.
It should at this point, first of all, greetings to everyone, and number two, believe all women, white woman. believe all women, because
it's so funny, BT. It's so tenuous, so feeble. Nothing really seems to hang together, and they're trying so desperately to turn it into like a Me Too moment.
Yeah. And this fat guy that needs to lose weight, he said he accused Senator of making a blanket statement. When the guy asked him to name one, he now said, "Well, we don't know." So you are the one making the blanket statement, because you're supposed to put facts to what you're saying. So to just convict the senator in the public is what I think this guy is pushing against, until we see the facts. And my question is, has she filed any police report yet? Has she reported to the Senate committee on ethics or anything, woman?
No, she hasn't. Is the point?
So why with
the police a crime was committed against her? No reports to her body, which is to say that a party has acted unethically, and they're saying the Senate president should recuse himself because she went on Brekete TV. She should recuse himself, and they should put him in detention. I mean, it's unbelievable.
If anybody accuses of anything, you then recuse yourself of your job or whatever. That's what we're doing.
Imagine if that was the case. Imagine if somebody randomly posts something about the Senate president on Facebook, he has to recuse himself, and then he comes back, another one puts it, and
I don't know, but the political angle to this. I mean, because I think I listened to your very good friend Pansat. That was just you know my position on him on your show, so I'm not gonna. But this idea that once you don't like a politician or a political party, even in the face of when you have evidence provided to you, you ignore the evidence and you just go after them with no facts and you just yell and scream. That's why sometimes I don't like coming around. But by the way, woman, I like this for my better. This morning drive of yours. You know, I've been begging you to do this for a long time. Just take a
Yes, I
video,
know.
talk about it.
It'll only be a little a single topic
Yeah, maybe 1 hour
session,
or two.
and it'll be 1 hour and a bit. You know, just
Yeah,
people like you and Aro. You know, not the wildlings that just come to house.
So
Well,
no, not the error, but the
Yeah.
specific ones. So not everyone.
Not for
but
everyone.
BT, when they arrive, don't worry, I go report you. Don't call them around.
I don't get to get out with it. But to this, this is my opinion, woman. And this is my opinion. There has to have been some kind of sexual history between those two that went wrong somewhere. I'm just speculating. I'm not saying for a fact.
Could it be a narrative on requited desires? Could it be a narrative that she has the expectations that the guy will make a pass at her, but he has not?
Yeah, because look at the Remo. I mean, if you are an objective individual, look at that Reno Omokuri case involving her too, making accusations, and that guy had an alibi. I mean, was it a passport stamp or something that he put online some years back?
Imagine if he didn't have that proof, she would have destroyed his life.
Yeah, because once again, believer women. Once a woman accused, do you know how many lives have been ruined in America? I mean, by UK, maybe UK is different, but in this country, a man's life can be ruined just by a mere accusation of harassment. And even after you present the evidence to the contrary, and the court declares you innocent, it will still haunt you for the rest of your life. And that's the kind of culture you want to bring into Nigeria. So if any woman is accusing anybody, please provide proof. And if the man is guilty, let the court of law prosecute the person. That's what we are for, woman, I believe, right? But this idea that somebody can just accuse you of anything on a public platform or Facebook or Berekete, and that person is supposed to lose their livelihood because a woman made their allegation, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know how we got here. And I mean, I was a fan of hers to a point. You remember when she was fighting for the steel plant in the States? You know, I know she's half Russian, you know, and that plant is a Russian, you know, it was built by the Russians. So I'm like, man, maybe she becomes a governor or senator, she can help. But she has interest. She has monetary
interest. Exactly. I was going to say that she has vested interest, so she's not doing it out of
conflict of interest.
Yes.
I don't think she would do a good job. You know.
How do you know that she's not been paid?
Yeah,
so her position might be like that. She might be a lobby. She's an active lobby.
Yeah.
Aro, let me bring you in properly. Since you've decided to join us, let me bring your prime minister in, and let's see what she has to say about this particular topic.
A court of law is the place where you deal with these matters. If you ever get trial by television or guilt by accusation, that day freedom dies.
O'Neill.
Margaret Thatcher doesn't care now. I won't care about anything.
No, but the point that she's making is central to this now. Trial by media.
And that was most likely sometimes in what? In early 80s? Yes? I mean,
yes.
So I mean, what dates? So that's the early 80s. That is before rampant television.
Yeah,
so think about it. This is early 80s. This is a time when early 80s, before the social media, before broadcasting, before the Americanization of the broadcasting invaded United Kingdom, and that is when she made that comment. And think about it now.
But
she saw ahead.
What did you get to the point where will you say it was social media where it met? Because I know 20 years ago you had to prove this in court. Okay,
I don't think there's any time you didn't have to prove it in court. But obviously there's
bad. Like post Me Too movement, things have changed a lot. You have to agree with me on that.
Oh yeah.
No things like just mere accusation. So I want to figure out what year did it change things, the dynamics of this,
It does, when? It does, and I think
it's post Me Too movement.
That was it.
Me Too movement. It did a lot of good, but the bad it did was to open up this sort of space to this sort of spurious and unfounded allegations that anybody can just mudsling your name. And no matter how much proof Akpabio brings out now, that there'll still be vestiges of suspicion around him now. Whether even if she withdraws the case, his name is already tarred.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I think
she goes scot-free with no repercussions.
No, she will not go scot-free. I would expect that Akpabio raises a case. So if I was Akpabio, okay, the next thing my lawyer or my representatives will be doing is be asking her very directly that you expect her to file a case within the next 48 hours. Failing to file a case, you will be filing a case against her for defamation of character. I want you to go to court. I want you to come and prove it in court.
But you know our people now. They say, but she's a woman now. The same people.
It doesn't matter. Let us leave her what? No, there's no leave her alone in this case. Let us go to court. Let's prove it in court. It is that certain to me that it seems like this woman has a relationship with Akpabio. How can a young woman, how old is she? She's in her 40s. She's in her 40s.
Don't you see their pictures? They are holding hands. I mean, who holds hands with another man in front of your husband? Are you comfortable with that?
She's in her early 40s. Okay, she has six children with more than 2 men. I mean, come on, BT. We know the way these things work in Abuja now. She's a runs girl, because I know a few of these kinds. Yeah, she's a runs girl. She has got favors all her life. Okay, she's a runs girl that made it. There's a few of those runs girls that really make it. And she's always gotten all her life. She's a good girl. Let us use her for this. Let's use her for that. And she's been shopping around and hunting around for a rich man that she's going to settle down with and become the third wife. And that everything will be settled for her in life. She'll be made in life. Because how can a young lady of 43 have 6 children with multiple men? Come on. She's not really got started in life. And they claim she's a lawyer. And how can a young 43-year-old lawyer be able to secure such a big contract? And remember, she's 43 now. She secured that contract about 10 years ago, over the previous decade, which means she was secured that contract when she was 43. She's 45. So that means when she was in her mid-30s, she had managed to secure a consequential contract like that. What leg up did she lead? Like, what connection does she have? Whose chamber does she work in? Does anyone know her career history? Because I don't know if anyone knows if she worked in anyone. You to have secured
Arrow. I wouldn't even get into that. I don't know. Maybe some way, somehow. You never know. But my own issue is that when people like Senator Ireti comes out, and this other former senator that came in and said in the defense of Akpabio, pretty much, there's this idea that if you're a woman, you must support a woman regardless of what the evidence. So that, and people are good now. They're spreading online. Like, why would you support Akpabio? They're like, because we don't have any evidence against him. So this idea
that is lying now. Everybody knows that she's lying, and the people there know she's lying.
She made an allegation without any proof. And if you don't, you're a woman that is hating on other women. That's kind of rubbing it wrong. We're like, getting here too much. Like, a woman must support a woman regardless because she's a woman. No, they're like, show us the facts, show us the evidence. Let's see proof.
All the women are against her, by the way.
They can't really say woman. They know what the game is, but they can't really say that what Arrow is saying. They know what it is, but they won't say it in public. They know now.
Everybody knows now. These Abuja circles know themselves. Everybody in Abuja knows what everybody else in Abuja is doing. That's what this Abuja.
They know as a runs
everybody
girl.
knows she's a runs girl. Everybody knows she's a runs girl. God knows if she's even slept with the Njibe's husband before. And that one hits the guts of her. There's 1,000 of these girls in Abuja. There's a lot of them. 1 or 2 of them make it, they get by, they help, she's a pretty face, they always use her, and I can see why Yahaya Bello treated her the way he treated her, because it's most likely he never really thought of her as much, and then suddenly she becomes a threat. This runs girl that's run around the place, and suddenly she takes herself for something and she wants to compensate it all. Who the heck do you think you are? stay in your place. That's really why he treated her the way he treated her with so much disdain. She's not the first female senator. She's not the first female senator. There was female senator. There's at least, I mean, the lady that ran for governor in Adamawa. I literally, I mean, if everything that we're meant to believe is true, she literally won.
It's not. No, there's this one. The woman from
Ekiti as well. There's that woman from Ekiti, Olujimi.
Yeah, Olujimi. Yes, we've had Olujimi.
She was a very influential senator, Olujimi, and she as well. She ran a very tough race.
Even our current first lady, was she not in the Senate?
She was in the Senate. Well, even if you said that Remi didn't get to the Senate on the basis of our political.
Okay, like even like the hardworking type kind of thing.
But I'm talking about senators who brought themselves to that position as a consequence of their political sagacity.
But
you can call Binani, you can talk of Itagbor has been a senator in this same Nigeria.
But Aro, my point is sorry, BT. Arogidigba just mentioned the Itagbor. Let me just give you about 3 minutes of this.
That degenerated to the allegations of sexual harassment in the Nigerian Senate is Senator Florence Itagbor, former lawmaker representing Cross River South Senatorial District and the National Assembly, and former special advisor to President Olusegun Obasanjo on National Assembly matters. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
All right. So we'll go straight in. I'm sure, I mean, a lot has happened since Friday. Since the first instance, and then Friday's interview here on Arise News blew things to a new level. But I want you to speak to some of the reactions that have come forth, especially from fellow female senators like yourselves. Some have said that they haven't personally experienced sexual harassment in Senate, as well as other women in Senate. I'd like to get your experience. Is it something that's rampant in the Senate? Also, this issue around maligning or disregarding the voices of female senators, is it a thing in the National Assembly?
Well, you know, if you want to talk about gender in politics, talking to Itagbor will be talking to the wrong person. Do you understand? Because just like I don't support affirmative action, you understand? Although in appointments, excuse me, yeah, I had to fly in for this interview. So I think affirmative action is undemocratic. But I just, for time, you know, that we may not have, I believe that once a female is strong enough to contest election, because in all my 32 years of active politics, from House of Rep to Senate, and all 4 elections I won, I never presented myself as a woman. I never presented myself as a man because, God forbid, I don't want to be a man. There's anything like reincarnation, I want to come back a woman. I presented myself as a person. And that's the upbringing I had from my mother, who was a very active journalist. She was a good mother and wife.
And writer.
Yes, and active, in and out of jail. So that's the upbringing I have. So once you go to that arena, you present yourself as a person. I watched that interview and I felt very bad as a woman and as a female politician, which I am till today. I'm a great fan of Senator Akpoti. And again, I don't even know when this started, calling senators by first name. Yeah. That is totally out of order. It's like you're talking about one girl in somewhere.
Thank you.
All right, so she goes on for several more minutes, but what I just wanted to establish was that even this Senator Itagbor, who you referenced, Arrow, even she is against it. So I'm not quite sure that there's anybody that aligns with Natasha in a pursuit.
She's a young girl that's well over her head. She's 45 years old. Itagbor is in the late 70s, I suspect. I mean, I don't know what this nonsense is all about, really. You know, and you know what? The thing about it is this: she will be disciplined very, very harshly by those senators. They are going to show her a place. You're a young senator, first timer, who landed 6 months late. who got one of the juiciest committees in the Senate. How come you got it if not for top power? If not for favors, how can you? Why? They didn't. I mean, and this and her tenacity when it comes to that Mambila project, it shows that she has a vested interest. Nobody can tell me about it. She has a vested interest because Mambila goes beyond any particular politician, any particular regime in Nigeria, any particular government in Nigeria. We are talking about more than 30 years, more than 40 years. The Mambila Power Project was what year was it instigated? This is in the 60s now. So it's even older than her. The complexity of it is beyond her. Something that transcends more than 3 nations. The Mambila Power Project transcends India. There's an Indian interest, there's a Russian interest, there's a Nigerian interest, there's other foreign interests, British interests as well. And there's this young girl shouting about it.
Do you think she should be consequenced for this thing that she's doing?
Well, she should be disciplined by the ethics committee.
They shouldn't just sweep it under the carpet and say,
they are not. You know, this girl is stupid, and I'll tell you why she's stupid. And I'm going to a girl.
She should be suspended.
She's a senator. She will be suspended at least. Okay, she's a senator of Nigeria in Nigeria. Okay, I shouldn't really call her a stupid girl. Okay, but this is how daft she is. On the day of the incident of the sitting arrangements, 2 senators from our state got up and sought the Senate's forgiveness. They sought that the Senate just overlooked this. And do you know what happened on that day? The Senate they are willing to just sweep it under the carpet and just say, you know what, it has happened. She's just a bit emotional and this, and they were willing to let it go until she was so daft, out of her arrogance, out of her stupidity. She went on Berekete, and then she granted the interview on Berekete. As though that wasn't bad enough, she then proceeded to make these allegations and then proceeded to Arise TV. How daft can you be? She's got a big shovel and she's just digging a hole, thinking that she's going to bury Akpabio, not knowing that she's going to bury herself.
Well, okay, that was my question to you actually. I was going to ask you a question about what do you think that our game plan was when she was doing all that, like the interviews?
She has always done this. It is evident that she's always done this. It's evident
not to the third guy in the car. Is it the third or fourth in line?
Sorry, BT. Midwest, you can come into the conversation. We're just chatting, so don't wait to be called. But sorry, carry on, BT.
The whip, you mean the chief whip? What's his name? Bamidele.
Yeah, I'm saying that for her to go after.
Yeah, Bamidele. She went after Bamidele. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the game? What was the game plan here? Like, did she think?
Another daft? I really don't know. I think she's always used blackmail, this kind of blackmail, to kind of get away. So now, what did Bamidele say on the floor of the Senate after she did the Berekete interview? Okay, I think the next session. And I watched this because the National Assembly actually have a live channel on YouTube. And I watched it. A number of different senators got up and they were lambasting and lampooning her. And do you know what then happened? Including this senator from Ondo State. What's his name? What's that guy? He too had armed troubles one time. I'll remember his name later on. And they were lampooning her. And Bamidele then got up and said, you know what, senators, can we please leave these personal attacks? And can we then follow the process? Okay, we've already established that the Senate president has the authority to allocate seats. We've established the rationale for which he needed to do so at that particular point in time. He followed the due process. Senator Natasha Akpoti did not obey the Senate rules. So we've already established that.
She was not stopped from she could have made a position in where she was assigned. That was what they were saying.
Yes,
you can stop
exactly.
all you want, but just make the position known on your seat where you are assigned.
Yes, which is what Bamidele said.
The rules. You can't write the rules because you don't like.
So let me even finish it. Let me even give you the full picture of it. So Bamidele said, you know what? Let's just move this to the ethics committee. So Bamidele was the first person to say, and the Senate president said, you know what? Because he's the Senate leader. I think he's a Senate majority leader or something like that. And Senate president said, since the Senate majority leader has made a prayer, this matter is therefore concluded. Let's conclude this discussion because this matter now has been forwarded to the Senate committee. And then she went and instituted a lawsuit against Bamidele after she is a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that does not know that any statement made on the Senate floor is actually, it enjoys immunity. How daft can she be? Even to start with, if Senator Bamidele had stood up and said, this Alot has done something stupid, does she not understand that as malicious a statement as that is, because it's been made by a senator in the chambers of the Senate, that it's actually the statement itself is he has immunity from prosecution. Does she not understand it? These are well-established doctrines. But she instituted a case against Bamidele for what? Because she doesn't want to go and face the Senate disciplinary committee. That is why. She doesn't want to go and face that committee, and she's hoping that she can institute a lawsuit against him to get him to back off that. And because she's the Senate majority leader, that he can influence the Senate majority, the ethics committee disciplinary action.
All right, let's bring African podcasting, who I think somewhat sympathetic to the Natasha narrative. Beno, good to have you here. Beno, we can't hear you. Look at that. That's a cheap American network, isn't it? Can anyone hear me still? We can't hear Beno.
Yes, Oman, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, carry on until African podcast is ready for us.
One man, I don't want to say much more than what I've said. It's infuriating, She could have been assaulted.
It's the consequence, though. Hopefully this is a learning curve, or the final learning curve. This should be for her actually. And after this, now no more. We don't want to hear from her again.
One money. Let me the bigger point here.
Not be like everybody else. Your bill scales through. It scales through. It doesn't scale through. Try harder.
One man. Can you hear me? Stay with me here. I'm going somewhere here. For the sake of Nigeria and the image of Nigeria, Akpabio has to see this case through because you don't want the certain. So think about if this thing lingers on for a long time, or they forgive her, and Akpabio goes to America, goes to the UK, or goes to the West. Your country, it makes your country look terrible. You don't want that, so they have to follow through on this. You have to, and you have to make it like a public hearing, okay? Very transparent, and she has to prove her point in front of the Senate. And
you know what is going to happen?
You cannot you cannot afford for the sake of your country, for the head of your Senate to be accused by a woman. You know how the West is with this media thing now, media spin. You have to make it open.
BT. Yeah. You know what's going to happen to this lady? She'll regret the day she opened her mouth and said that. It's already evident that a lot of the senators are against her. It's already evident that the establishment is against her. And you know what's going to happen? Her character will be absolutely assassinated. Not only are they going to take her to court, okay, where they'll be able to quash this matter. Like you said, this matter needs to be, adjudicated appropriately. But the character will be assassinated.
Expel her from the Senate. Yeah.
They will assassinate her character. Absolutely would destroy it. Any dirt that they have on her, they will bring out any video, anybody that has slept with her before, or the father of her children, anything and everything that the way politicians are.
And the host of the show doesn't know that your character is very important in court of law. Your character is very.
It doesn't know divorce. When it comes to divorce, when it comes to soft stuff, it's a you what I said against what I say. And if I'm able to show that by your character that you have a tendency to make false allegations, especially false allegations on this particular subject matter, well, are you to be believed?
You cannot afford for the head of Senate to be Me Too'd in front of the media, in front of the world. The Omar damage the country. You can't afford to have that. I hope it's not true. But if Akpabio knows
it's a
not
shame that African podcast dropped. I wanted to hear a narrative because I think
to the audience now. You know, the audience is women leaning. So
but Baba T, they look back for Nigeria. You know what I say? If this happens, then Nigerians say, "Oh, Nigeria don't treat women white." That's bad for Nigeria image. Like, between women is not white. That's bad for Nigeria image.
Chuku.
Baba is white.
It's different with the meme. You see, we can talk about corruption and here and there, but when the head of the Senate, it is different on a global scale, on global stage. I mean, okay, you need to understand that it's not like one House of Rep member or local government chairman. It is the head of Senate. Okay, so it's very important that they follow through with this case. Okay, so it's a different. It's a completely different. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I think they should do it in a civil way because you don't need to look bad on women in Nigeria. You know, it's not the West what they say. Oh, these leaders treat women bad. They should do it in a civil way. Always look bad in the country.
African podcast. Are you ready now? Bello.
Hey, woman.
Okay, kwata at last. Yes, so the Natasha narrative, I suspect that you are sympathetic to her position.
I'm not. I won't say I'm sympathetic to her position, and I don't give an F about Akpabio too. I actually come into the studio because I know you've been having this topic for quite a while now, and I used to listen in the background. But the way it's going this morning again, I just feel like we just need to sound some note of caution here. I think we Nigerians, we travel vast and wide. We are educated, knowledge. We seems to know it all. But some of these issues, when it comes up like this, the way some of us sound, I'm sorry to say, it's kind of disappointing. Whatever is going on between Natasha and Akpabio, I think people really don't take their time to look at the issues from various angles. Even yourself, my Oga woman, I listened to your monologue and analysis this morning, and I'm not too proud about it. I won't lie to you, sir. I believe we are parents, and when issues like this happen, we are supposed to look at it in such a way that if this thing happened to my daughter, will I be saying the same thing I'm saying right now? If this thing happens to my brother, my uncle, will I be saying the same thing the way I'm saying now? Because for me, I like to give people grace. And that's why where I'm coming from as far as Natasha and Akpabio is concerned is that we have like 3 different issues ongoing here. The Senate proceeding and how they manage their business is one. The allegation coming from Natasha and the allegation against Akpabio is a different ballgame. And then the third part is how we Nigerians we perceive issues like this. It is always easier for us to take sides, which is not okay. All the rhetorics I've been hearing moonlight to you. I just see a lot of senior brothers and sisters here taking sides. It's not okay. We are not there. Natasha, she's lying. She's not lying. You and I were not there. Akpabio did it. He didn't do it. We are not there. And what I think matters to us all is how Nigeria can move forward and how we can do things the right way. I think the only person I agree with his take so far since yesterday is Baba. I don't know that man, but he's usually the first person that calling on your show, one man. I think Baba is the only person that I kind of agree with his stance. Please, don't let us judge Natasha. Don't judge Akpabio. When it comes to the issue of
even knowing her history,
it doesn't matter. The fact that, okay, don't we have children? If don't your children lie at times? Does the fact that they lied yesterday, they lied the last year, means that
It's a
something
45-year-old
happens
woman,
to them.
45-year-old woman.
African podcast. Can I ask a question?
No,
sir?
let me finish. Let me finish. I will. Woman, no, I'll finish and I'll lead the floor. I just want to say my mind.
So we can't ask you a question. We can't engage you in anything.
No, let me finish. You can ask, then we engage. Because if I don't land my point, we'll just be going round. My point is just simple. This matter, people shouldn't be taking sides. Just like Baba said yesterday, this is an issue that the law enforcement agencies are supposed to pick up. So far, so good. Akpabio have not said one single thing in all of this. All I see are all these ass kissers, all these crumb eaters coming out, trying to defend. Oh, he can't do it. Can these people shut the crap? Nobody is there. Can Natasha lie? Yes, she can lie. Can she be saying the truth?
I hope you're referring to me as a crumb eater.
No. All these senators, or what they call them, these people that go on TV stations defending Akpabio. It's more or less like becoming like a gang thing, and we want to move the nation forward.
Okay,
please.
Let me come in here.
So my final take is let's allow this to play out. People shouldn't be judging. Even though you don't like Natasha or something, it doesn't mean that Akpabio might not be harassing her.
So
that's just my point.
Akpabio
might be innocent. Akpabio might be innocent. Nobody should take side on matters like
that's
this.
The point
that's
we're making.
Thank you.
That's the point we're making. That where are the facts? That's the whole point of. That's what we've been saying. I don't know why. Maybe you're not listening. Where are the facts on either side? If you accuse somebody of doing something, you cannot just go on radio and accuse somebody. You must come with fact, evidence. And I asked earlier, has she filed any police report? Is no. Have you filed any case with Senate committee? No. That is it.
What are even the allegations? What are the allegations?
I don't know what you are saying that people should not have an opinion.
What are the allegations? The allegation is this: that Akpabio held her hand and he invited her to come and see him at a private time. Really? Did she say that Akpabio was holding on to her bosom?
Akpabio grabbed her by the what did Trump say? Grab her by the maybe that's what.
Excuse me. Look, one man, please. Are you people hearing me?
Oh yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, my brother. For me, what I will say is this: I'm listening to this our brother. From this Natasha, it's as if she is presenting Nigerian women as a very dumb set of people. Generally, a woman that is a senator, someone is harassing you, and you have no proof. What are you saying? You're talking to the whole world, my brother. Let's listen to ourselves sometimes. As you said, Nigerians tribal, they are so exposed. Yes, Nigerians are very exposed.
Sir, can I ask you a question, sir?
Excuse me, a female senator under this kind of condition, and she cannot present a proof. That is to say, Nigerian women are very dull.
Sir,
she's representing the country. So if she doesn't know what to do with her own position, with the level of position God has placed her, I don't know what she's trying to tell the whole world. Look, let us be honest. He said Akpabio invited me if Akpabio hold my hand and he invited me to meet in the quiet place. What does that mean? Do you know whether he want to discuss another business with you? Apart from that. So your might go to sex and you are a mother of six husbands. She doesn't even supposed to be there. If we want to look at our culture, who we are as an African, let's be honest. We're not in a generation where nothing matters. And if you look at the black race, 80s, we were better than this. I don't know where they are taking us to because it doesn't matter. Let's be honest. You as a senator, someone is harassing you. You go to ITV, you go to this one, you go to Brekete, and you are saying sort of against a Senate president. Whether the country is
she's yet to file a police report, by the way.
What is wrong with us? Can you just stop saying a Senate president? So he's above committing any crime. Is that what you are saying?
Not that.
Is that the point?
The point is that we don't have, she didn't present any fact. That's what
Now, sir, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, sir. Anybody can answer this question. Natasha did not go to the police. She did not present any fact according to what everybody said. Now, assuming a woman put this allegation on you as a man with no fact, he didn't go to the police or anything, what would you do? You fold your hand and not say something?
Oh, me and you are going to see ourselves in court.
Both ways.
No.
Now you are talking. It is left to Akpabio. Please,
no,
it is left to Akpabio to take it up.
Wait.
No, his wife has taken it up. His wife has taken the wife has taken it up on behalf of the husband.
The wife is not Akpabio. Can we please be civilized? We live in this world.
Can you hear me?
Wait.
Everybody, hold on. Let's have one voice at a time. Let Africa.
Okay, let me land my point.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, just hold on now. So just for the benefit of the audience, you make your point. I think African podcast wants to counterweight you. So make your point. African podcast counterweight you, and then BT Arrow counterweight him. So make your point, Midwest.
My point is simple. When you see women of this type, my allegation is that he hold my hand and he promised me to take me to a quiet place where we can have conversation. What kind of allegation is that? Because of that, I refuse now. He's punishing me. It doesn't make sense. You don't have proof. Can you have such a woman representing Nigeria in that kind of high position?
Sorry, Midwest. She actually didn't say a quiet place. She said a quiet place where we can have a good time. So I think everybody understands what that means. That's what she said. She said she wanted to take her to a quiet place where they can have a good time.
Quiet place where they can have a good time. And she didn't tell her husband. She didn't tell her family. As an African, let's talk like an African here now. She didn't tell her husband. She didn't tell her family, husband family. And she didn't see it as an issue. Until both of them have issue in the Senate floor. Then he wanted to lie with me. That is why he hate me. It doesn't make sense. These guys are representing our country. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this kind of situation. At least if she cannot have an evidence, she's not fit to be there. For many Nigerians have been abused. Many women, students, everywhere. You that is a Senate, you find yourself in that situation. You could not be able to gather an evidence to make sure we discipline all these men. Then you just come out and be accusing people. It doesn't make sense. That is my own submission. Nobody should say we have traveled, we are not civilized enough. What happened in France against a footballer? You can see it in the hotel. How a woman came in, so lucky he set up a camera. If not, they would have charged him for nothing. That's why we have to be careful about women of these days.
That's
just my submission.
And that final point is a key point. Let our African podcast come in, then BT Arrow. Yeah, African podcast.
Oh, thank you, woman. Thank you very much. My take is simple. This issue, like I said earlier, both Akpabio and Natasha, they both know whatever they have between them. We are just looking at it from the outside. And I was asking one of my brother here just now, if a woman accuses you of this same offense, that you harass her, you did this, you did that, and she refused to go to the police, rather she stays on social media and granting interviews and everything, what are you going to do?
Akpabio wife has taken it, so I think
no, bro, don't go that route. Akpabio wife has nothing to do with this. That's why I said Akpabio is just using all this bunch of ass kissers he has around him. No, you Akpabio, you as a man, okay, forget Akpabio, forget anything, because like on my platform, all I do is I look at these issues, what are the lessons we can take out of it. You as a man right now, a woman accused you of harassing her. She didn't go to the police, she didn't do nothing, but rather she went to the public platform and start dragging your name, that you do this, you do that. Were you going to fold your hand and sit back?
Can I respond to that?
And then you ask your wife to go and reply the woman.
African podcast. Let me ask.
Yes, sir.
Let me go with a question. Why do you think she didn't go to the police or to the assembly committee? Why do you think she chose the public forum first instead of going to the police? Why?
See, my brother, I don't know why she chose.
You can't that. No, you must know. You can't do that. You have to. You must respond. You can't say you don't know. Why did she choose the?
Do you see? This is the problem.
Hold on now. Hold on.
Why did
you wait? No, wait. Because you're the one that said if it was me, what will I do? So I'm asking you,
right.
if a woman is harassed and she chose to go to Berekete instead of the police, why do you think she did that? That's the question to you.
I can't answer why she did that. Don't you get it? I don't live in their home. I don't live in her heart. I don't know what's going on with her. All I can say is, if I found myself in this situation, what would I do? That's the question I ask. I don't know what's going on. We are trying to preempt or trying to figure out, oh, she did this because of... No, that is just wrong. She go to social media platform, TV station, doing whatever she do. That is her own cup of tea. We as a man, if somebody put this allegation on you and they didn't go to the police, you were not being charged or anything, what do? Do you fold your hand and say, oh, I didn't do it though? Then everybody is talking, you were quiet? Is that how you approach it? You do the right thing. You are innocent, get her arrested. You are innocent, take her to court. Not choosing your wife and not the senator.
Even if Akpabio choose to pick her next 3 months, next 4 months, the chances are still there. So you wait. You can't tell Akpabio when to take his legal action. Because we let her bring out a proof first.
Why would you ask her to bring proof? Are you the judge? No, you're not the judge. It is not advisable if you have a case. No, bro. Wait. It is not advisable if you have a case, you put your evidence out there in the public.
We are all judged. God created us so when we see an issue, sometimes two people quarreling, you can even put a settlement. That's what the judge are doing. We all have that wisdom. But let's talk reality here. These guys,
you are not the judge. Let them go to court and sort it out. Akpabio can be guilty. Natasha can be lying, but don't let us take side on this one, please.
For me, for now, Akpabio is innocent because the woman cannot prove it, and that is my own judgment here. Let us be rational.
Sorry, when you say, oh, if it was you and I, guess what? They're not you and I. They are senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are held to higher standard than you and I.
That is like Joe.
They are lawmakers. Don't tell me, as a lawmaker of the country, you don't know what to do. Don't tell me that.
But
she's not me. Okay.
You know what she said? It is Africa. You know how Africa acts. If she tell the police don't listen to her. This is Africa. We know how Africans act. Do not listen to her. This is Africa we're talking about. This is how they act.
We will not listen to our Charles. We will not listen to her.
The police. This is Africa. Okay.
Do you know what it means to be a senator in Nigeria?
But there's so many criminals in Nigeria who are governors in Nigeria who are criminals, but they become governors. What are we talking about here?
So all of a sudden, Akpabio has become a saint. Did you all see the lady that said she slapped Akpabio when Akpabio did the same rubbish with her?
That lady also was. Wait. That lady, we know what she know the guilt. She know what she was up to. Okay, don't call her a saint. That lady, she found that she was caught with her hand in the cookie jar. That is the fact. And if not for Wike, deploying the instrumentality of his influence as a state government, governor, she would have been arrested. And it was also the same Akpabio, okay, that was the minister at the time, and we all saw the issue, and it's part of that investigation that led to Off the Mic. Come on, this is Nigeria, and some of us like to pretend like we can. The one Off the Mic situation, okay, was born out of all this investigation. So our hand was caught in the cookie jar. It seems in Nigeria that when people have their hands caught in the cookie jar, that they make outlandish allegations. They pretend that they are sick. That is when they find out that they have cancer. That's when they find out that they have back problem. That's when they find out that they have hypertension. Individuals in Nigeria don't know how to face up and address the issue directly. They don't know how to go to court and challenge, whoever is accusing them in court. They know how to find a way to make silly allegations and make themselves the victim. Stella Odua did it. Other people have done it before her. We saw it. Dasuki did it. We saw it with all sorts of individuals, and it just cannot continue.
And Aro, before you go ahead, podcast. Nobody is saying Akpabio is a saint. If she comes up with proof tomorrow, I will be the first person on the show to tell everybody they should lock him up. All we are asking for is proof. That is it. Bro, it's not that difficult. Just show us proof. That's all.
She did not own you and I.
So why? Okay. Hold on.
Let them go to court and show the judge the proof.
Hold on now.
That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, BT.
Hold on, please.
African podcast. She does owe us an explanation.
She's on public. She's on Facebook now. So why is she here now?
To the public space.
Abio, so why are you here?
She's paid from the public purse. She's a senator that's paid from the public purse. So what do you mean by she doesn't owe us an explanation?
She has
she made an allegation, and even
she did not owe you evidence. She didn't owe you any evidence. She owed you explanation. Let them go and present the evidence to the judge. That is the problem.
If this issue of chair does not happen, so she wouldn't have come out. She wouldn't have approached the court and accused Akpabio that he was harassing her. So if everything going smoothly between them in the Senate, nothing would have been reported to the media. Nothing would have been reported to the court, right? She took the step that should have taken last. It's the one she's taking first. I believe that between them, they know what transpired. But if she was really damn serious about the allegation, she should have approached the court in the first place instead of litigating her case on the television. She wanted a public sympathy, and that was what she got.
No, somebody said the incident is not the nucleus of the matter. The chair incident was just an opportunity for her to vent her frustration. What really sparked this matter was the fact that she was the chairman of the local content committee. How a first-time senator who does not have any particular political influence beyond a senatorial district in Kogi, a senator who is a member of the opposition, managed to become the chairman of the local content committee is beyond me.
You know, Aro, whatever way it is, anytime someone is accused of sexual harassment or any allegation towards that, it's always a lose-lose for the man. The man is always at disadvantage because the public perception is always that, yeah, he did it.
Let me just ask you, because African man did not answer the question. I asked him earlier, why do you think she chose to go to Berekete instead of the police or the Senate committee to report this case?
That's what I said. She wanted a public sympathy.
So what do you mean? She owes us the proof. You came to us. We did not come to you now. You came to us. Abi, you came on Berekete. We didn't come to you now. I bet now. What about now? So don't tell me she owes us. She owes Nigerians that. She owes Nigerians that proof. So don't tell me she doesn't owe you anything. She does, bro. African podcast. She does, my brother.
Ogbeni Akinregun lọ́sàn-án, what happened? Finally we teased you out.
Oh my, your notification now.
Akinregun lọ́sàn-án.
Just rule now. I just want to correct you. Look at this. Look at this. Ogbeni, good to see you.
Oma, nice to have you guys here. Mr. Adewale, everybody, Midwest and others. Arogidi.
Hello.
Ogbeni Kimio.
I don't even remember the last time I joined where one man during daytime like this.
Seriously. The title is very catchy. I can't resist than to just join and listen to you guys. Okay. Nice to see you guys here.
When you can to my question earlier, because you're here, you're the lawyer. I was asking African podcast who is clearly here to defend her. I know he's trying to play both sides on the fence, but we know where he kind of sways on this issue. Why will anybody that is accused someone of being forget it's not a regular Joe in the lawmaking chamber of Nigeria accuse somebody of sexual harassment on a public forum without providing proof and has not got to court yet. Why would she do that?
Then let me tell you my if I can share my own approach to all these issues. You know, Nigeria, we like a lot of noises and we sensationalize the EU. We like it a lot, and we like making noise, and we don't follow up on cases. So many cases like this in Nigeria, it will die off. By the time another news comes tomorrow now, Akpoti will just be moving freely in the street without giving a closure to the allegation she has made. Where is Farotimi today? Farotimi is back on social media talking. What happened to his case against the Baba Febala case against him? The Nigerians are forgotten. See, that's the kind of the way we run our society, and it's very sad.
But the impact of this is on the global scale. No, this is the Senate president of your country. And you know the Me Too war that one. No. I'm saying the world we live in today anymore. So say
I understand, but don't forget that the impact of David Udein shenanigan in 2022-2023 was it also global? But today, who talks? Nobody is saying anything about it again. Oh, he's a drug peddler, he's this and that. The guy is there seeking asylum in Ghana and has kept quiet, he's looking another way. He's trolling this guy now. His problem now is Aisha Yusuf and Showore and others, telling them that they're
by the way, but might be no. Once you're done with this issue, I want to talk to you about Kenneth Okonkwo. Just because more but go ahead with this one first.
So we are short at people with very short memory. We don't, and I no offense to anyone. I'm also a Nigerian, and I think that is who we are, or that is probably the stage we have in terms of how our society evolved. We like sensations, and that's why people like Rufai Hussein and co, they are heroes in our space. We pick news that don't even matter in the society. Those are the ones we place so much emphasis on. We don't place emphasis on things that matters. Then even few ones that matters. Once we not latch on it, we talk on it, and then it freezes away. We don't even follow up. Recently, I was asking somebody, Deborah Samuel. Is anybody talking of Deborah Samuel today? Nobody. That case was pending at a point in time. The prosecutor, who happened to the government officer, refused to show up in court for about 4 adjournments, and the court struck the case out based on want of diligent prosecution because the state government officials who is collecting taxpayers' money as salaries every month, who's supposed to prosecute those guys, refused to show up. And those guys that we all saw, on CNN and everything, they show it, they released those guys back to the streets. So they killed the girl here. So what happened now? Nothing. So we are like that in Nigeria, and that's why sometimes some issues to contribute, sometimes I don't, except when I have free time. That's when I just like interacting with Nigerians on some issues, because it will freeze you away and we won't do anything on it. So what's my take on this issue? This issue, you can compartmentalize this issue to 4. There's a criminal allegation. There's a civil suit that is pending. And I will tell you who are the actors in all this. There's a procedural issue of the National Assembly. And there's a moral issue here. So what's the first one? The procedural issue on the National Assembly. That's this trigger. There's a rule that regulates the National Assembly or the Senate. Let me narrow it on Senate. There's a rule that regulates the Senate, just like every other institutions have their regulations and their rules. And these rules enjoy its roots and origin from the Constitution, 1999 Constitution as uttered. It empowers them to make the rules, and they made the rules. And on their first day of inauguration, they always handed this rule over to them. They decide to amend sometimes they leave it so, and they use it. So that has me there. So the first issue we had is, can you speak from anywhere, even if you are raising your privilege, which is the other 10? Does that rule allow you to speak from anywhere? And I've looked at the rule, I said, this is no. It's just like a lawyer going to court. There's a inner bar, there's an outer bar, and there's a gallery in court. Even if you are well-dressed, you are the most properly dressed in court as a lawyer. If you don't sit in the proper place you sit, in fact, what the court will tell you, I cannot see you. That's for those who are very familiar with the court language. That is, the judge will not tell you go and sit in the right place. They simply tell you, Mr. Bankole, I cannot see you. Because you simply don't have right of audience if you don't sit in the proper place. So it's part of the procedure for you to be able to gain a right of audience. But we just like sensationalize things. So here is a woman whom seat has been changed, and they informed her that your seat has been changed in accordance with the rules, and you refuse to move. So if you refuse to move, then you can't have a right of audience. You are just like a lawyer that is sitting in the gallery where pressmen and litigants should be sitting. Or you are a lawyer, you're going inside the dock where the person that is the litigant that is, or a witness box, you are sitting inside witness box as a lawyer and you want to be canvassing argument for a client. You can't do that. Or you are a senior advocate in court, you are not sitting in the inner bar. You have to sit in the inner bar. You can't even sit with lawyers in the outer bar, except the court allow you to sit. That's just a simple example I can give people. So when you look at that, that is a procedural issue. And they said, okay, because of your insubordination and refusal to do what is needful, the next procedural is to send you to a committee. Go to the committee and go and have your fair hearing. I learned that now she has gone to court. Oh, fine. So if you go to court, it's still part of your right to exercise. You don't want to go to the committee, fine. So go and sue the committee and National Assembly. And that solves that. That's not the major issue bothering Nigerians. We have many other better issues to discuss. That is one. Now, there's a criminal allegation here. Where is the criminal allegation? Who is the actor? That's Akpoti. So now she has come to the social mainstream media and social media to say, look, I was harassed sexually. Thank goodness for Akpabio. She didn't even say Akpabio raped her. So she's still just measuring it on the level of, oh, you harassed me sexually, or you make some attempt to woo me. Okay, fine. So question I ask people is, first, is it a crime to woo her? The first answer is no. There's no crime in Nigeria that says you can't woo a woman, even if it's a married woman. All right? It's not a crime. At best, it's a civil suit called enticement. Okay. Okay, what is the crime here? The crime is sexual harassment at best. You can put it as sexual harassment, sexual assault. Okay, if it's sexual assault, where is the proper place to go? It's not a mainstream media. Report to the police. Then the police will prosecute. And before they prosecute, they do their own investigation and find out there's a prima facie case against the person you are complaining against. It's not all cases that will go to court. So they call the person also, come and say your own. You also come and say, do you have witnesses? Yes, I have. They will call them. All those senators that will be coming, I was there. They will all come and write. If the police realize that they can't find any case here, then the police will release you. If the police find out that, okay, we think there's a case here to take to court, they take it to court. If you prove the case in court and Akpoti fail, then Akpabio has a right also to now sue her for malicious prosecution. Simple. Our laws have taken care of that. So that should not be an issue. Now, there's a case of defamation again. So if you are coming to say, you are alleging me that I sexually harassed you, and you refused to report to police, you leave it there. And now because of that, you arouse public against me. That's defamation. And that is why I said that case that Baba Febawala dropped, it's not a good precedent in Nigeria. I still keep saying it. Baba should have pushed through that case so that would have sent lessons to people who like raising an allegation without concrete evidence to prove it. At least that would have brought a level of sanity into our system so that if you don't have your concrete evidence or you think what you are raising is frivolous, don't come and raise it only because you want to quickly defend something or you want to cast something or you want to disguise something in our space. And don't disparage people's name because of some things that don't exist. But all the same, that has happened. Baba has withdrawn it. The Femifala and our own against Very Dark Man. We can't see the light of the day. Fine. So maybe this is another shot from Akpabio side. So the point is, if you allege me of something that's criminal in nature, and you are painting me like a criminal, and I waited or I'm waiting for a while, and you fail to report me to the proper authority, then I will sue you to court in criminal defamation, in defamation in civil suit. Come and defend yourself. Now come and prove it. So if you now fail to prove it as a defendant, then I will have a case against you. And then I can get you liable for civil defamation. If it's a criminal route, which is still existing in Abuja, because everything happened in Abuja, then Akpabio also has a right to do that and take the route of criminal route. That is for that. What is the last compartment I see here? is the moral issue out of it. And I tell people, what's the character of both of them? Both don't really have one good character in the space that one can be defending any of the two. Akpabio, we all know Akpabio. Akpabio has been accused severally. And Akpabio,
thank you.
So Akpabio is everybody know Akpabio is humanizer, is general thing everybody knows. The only thing we can say is whether he sexually harassed people. All right. But they've accused him also before. The woman in NDCC accused him of harassing her sexually. And Akpabio never sued to protect his reputation back then. He never. And even never reported also to police.
Thank you.
Where Babala did, he did not. So, okay, if that is the case, that's Akpabio's character. Then let's turn to Akpoti. Akpoti doesn't also have the character. They are both painted with the same brush.
Thank you. Thank you. I say that one to your podcast. Thank you.
Reno mockery before. When Reno showed her concrete evidence, they said they reported Facebook, or we shall know they deleted those nonsense things. And then we've seen same Akpoti before accuse even the husband, the present husband. I think she sued the husband. She sent one letter to the present husband back there when that one refused to marry.
Podcast. Thank him now. Thank him about
that one is going her 1 billion or something like that. She wanted to get from them and all those things. And then we've seen a lot of allegations by Akpoti crying on the TV against Yaya Bello and all those things. And so, what am I saying? I'm not saying that never happened because they both don't have character. Nobody can even say whether they are even boyfriend, girlfriend before, whether she even got to drown from Akpabio. No, you can't say all these things happen in all those spaces. They are public figures. We know how these things happen among them. So my own is let them go and settle their case. Whether the procedural one in National Assembly, whether the criminal one, whether the moral one on the social media, whether the defamation one in court. I don't think it's a big deal that we should be dealing with. Seriously, I'm telling you. We've been dealing with that now for like a week. And if there's no other, don't forget it was Babangida. Now this news now is overtaking Babangida and taking Babangida away from our site. Well, maybe they should cook another one by next week so that Akpoti and Akpabio will go off and we jump on that one. So, okay, good afternoon, everyone. That's my take on this Akpoti thing here.
Podcast. Why did you thank him when he was talking about Natasha? You were thanking him about Akpabio now.
Yes, I am thanking him not for Natasha or Akpabio. I just like his stance.
We know.
No, bro, I just like his stance because it kind of resonates with where I'm coming from. Okay, sexual harassment can be anything, especially under the law. I give you an example. Do you consider some comments to a woman? Do you consider that as sexual harassment? Holding a woman's hand just anyhow, would you consider that sexual harassment? Yes. So my take is
no, it's not. It's not sexual harassment. It is not. We should not be quoting laws that.
Wait, bro.
It's not. It's not.
If
it's
not. Man, wait now. A man holds your wife's hand, and your wife say, "I don't like the way you are grabbing my hand." That's not a sexual harassment.
No, it is not. Maybe the man took it for another thing. Maybe perhaps before that happened, my wife might have been opening her teeth to the man, because no woman will just be walking at it. Let's be honest. Let us not be.
Because there is nothing to be honest
about. Did Natasha at any point say that she rebuffed the senator? Because he made a pass at her, but she said that she rebuffed him. She never said she rebuffed him.
See, my sister, sexual harassment is any unwelcome sexual advances, requests, or sexual favors, or any other verbal or physical conduct. Okay? It could include comments, gestures, look. It all depends on who is bringing the allegation and in which context it happens.
So no. It has to be unwelcomed. It has to be unwelcomed and or aggressive.
Take for example.
You can't just say any advancement. If there was no advancement, how would we ever have a conversation?
So let us be honest here. Even if you want to describe it in Nigeria context, we have our own separate law. Even the Western world, those English words you are using, they have separate law that address this thing to some levels of degree. I know there are countries where you cannot even stand a woman, hello, excuse me. And if the woman complain, just doing that alone, you're going for it. There's our laws. It's as tough as that. So, but the truth of the matter is this: if Akpabio choose today in Nigeria, even being a Senate president, I want to marry more to wife. There's nothing wrong. That's our culture. Let's be honest here. Except the wife has to take an action. Perhaps they have married legally in a Western way by laws and all those things. If that is not there, he can marry to wife. If that woman is maybe she's not married, and Akpabio decided to say, this woman, I like her, I'm attracted to her. Hello. Akpabio has never committed any offense, except if she's married and she told Akpabio, look, I'm married. Then, as far as Nigerian space is concerned, then Akpabio has committed an offense, because it is left for that woman. She said, you use my wife as an example. How can a stranger just hold the hands of my wife? And if a colleague started holding her hands, depends on the way she presents herself and evidence that she's not disciplined as a wife. I can't go and hold another man's wife hand, even when we are together. No, I don't do that.
Can I ask you, what constitutes sexual harassment in Nigeria?
What constitutes, if you decided to hold a woman outside her will, then you are constituting when it related to sexual something, you are constituting sexual harassment, because it's not a will. And that will they're talking about is when you approach a woman in Nigeria's level. Oh, brother, I'm sorry, I am engaged, or I am not interested, or I am married. Let it end there. If you go further, and if two of you are of a high reputation, you want to save our country as a senator, because many women are under this sexual harassment in their places of work. A lot, students. You should use the Senate president as an example. We all will clap for you. Don't bring an evidence. Behave like someone that is representing Nigeria. Gather evidence and approach the police. We all will be happy. We'll be celebrating. Not for you to go to Brekete and be accusing the Senate president, and at the end you cannot go to police, you can't go to court. I know the Senate president is coming. As I tell you, they may chase her away from that position. It's just a matter of time.
Brother.
Except big power have to come in. Because the Senate president will take an action. They are coming.
My brother,
so this is my own submission there.
From the way you are speaking, I feel so sorry for our women and our children, female children in Nigeria. We have to change this mindset. I'm so sorry to say that. From the way you are speaking, this is not good, frankly speaking. Okay. I don't give an F about Natasha, but there are lots of women who are undergoing this same kind of treatment every day in Nigeria. Just because they are not women in position of influence, we don't see it. So please, this is this one-man platform. I think one time I was doing some research on my YouTube platform, and one-man platform is one of the ones that came up when I was searching internationally. People are listening at times. Please, don't let us make this issue seems like, oh, that's what they do in Nigeria.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Let's call it out.
If it, as Dubai, Prince of Dubai choose to marry 7 wives, and their Senate president choose to marry 20, is anything wrong?
Nothing is wrong. No, polygamy is allowed in country where it's allowed. But please, the way you sound right now, my brother, you are making this look as if, man, I hear you, my brother.
Look, I'm not making anything from it. The thing is that the way you are presenting the issue, I don't know why you are presenting it that way. There is no big deal here. Akpabio have right to marry up to 20 wives. That is our culture.
This has nothing to do with marrying 20 wives. It has to do with how he conducts himself as the Senate president.
Forget about Senate president at this moment. In our culture, it is the man that we approach the woman. In Europe here, you laugh. The woman can tell you, let's go and drink. So it's different culture. We're talking about our own people here. We
so in our culture, bro, what you are saying is that in our culture, I can approach your wife anyhow I want. Is that what you're saying?
No, listen, if you see my wife on the way, you tell her, oh, woman, you are beautiful, and she give you a compliment. She's already under adultery. That's my own culture. As a Nigerian, we all have different culture. She have to tell you at that moment.
If your wife doesn't want that, and I'm still using some inflammatory comments, some sexualized comments.
If she's a responsible wife, I will not be the next person she should talk to. And I will tell her what to do and how to gather evidence. With that evidence, I will take the appropriate action. So if this woman is responsible, her husband should take the appropriate action. I don't know. Sorry, let me not use that word. We are not from the same tribe. Everybody has his own tribe and culture in Nigeria. So fortunately, they group us together. They mess up the entire society. That's just the truth.
My brother, I hear you. All I can say anyway, because I have a show set up already, all I can say is this to my fellow brothers who might be listening to this. Please, I pray, nobody will accuse you of sexual harassment too. If any woman accuse you of sexual harassment, sometimes now only God will rescue you. And when issue of sexual harassment is attached to your name, the best call of action is to go to the police or you sue. Akpabio quietness, Akpabio not saying anything, and all these soldiers coming, Akpabio is a saint, Akpabio is that. It doesn't look good. Akpabio, if I have to do what many people have been doing, especially my Nigerian brothers, I will simply tell you that he is guilty, even without evidence. But right now, I believe if he's not guilty, the right thing he should do is you sue her. Period. There's no need for us to be dragging what is not necessary here.
There's still enough time for that. So it is the woman that have to prove herself.
The woman don't have to prove anything to anybody. Like I said, she brought the allegation to the public knowledge.
You don't. No. We don't care about the public knowledge. What she needs to do is to go to the police. The Nigerian police force is the right authority that would be able to actually, because I mean the office of the public prosecutor, if she goes to the police force and she submits an allegation, okay, the office of the public prosecutor can then prosecute the matter. So don't say that. Don't try and dismiss it. No, because you are here saying, oh, if you're a man and you are accused of this and that. You don't think that men as well can be victims? Because that's what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. We've
already seen more than a fair few. Wait. We've seen more than a fair few very major incidents. There was a case of this actor. What's his name? The name was in my head there not long ago. What's this guy's name? This actor, this American actor. Him and his girlfriend. His long-time girlfriend. Oh wow! How can I forgot his name. His name was in my head. His name will come to me again. We saw the case. The case was litigated. It went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Johnny Depp. We've seen the case of Johnny Depp. We've seen other, we've seen the case of Neymar. We've seen Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. We've seen Mendy. You see these allegations, reckless allegations, malicious allegations in some cases. And this particular one has the smell of what seems to be a malicious allegation. And I think she has been even very cautious not to extend it to the most heinous of crimes. She's left it at literally what is no more than an advancement. How do you prove that what he wanted to do was what you think he wanted to do?
Can I say something?
Sorry, I had to say something to someone there. So that's really she's left there. She's not gone all the way and made a reckless allegation. She's left it at what it was, because she's been careful as well. Because really, all she said is, "Oh, he made a pass at me." That's the extent of it. He made a pass. He didn't grab her, in a private, manner. He didn't reach for her bosom like that other student in the university made of the lecturer. Really, all that has been said is he made a pass. Really, using words that cannot even do, how do you determine that his intention was that okay when you meet really this is really what it is. It can't even. I don't know why we're. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So you see, when you look at sexual harassment under our law in Nigeria, it's not the same thing as you have in the Western world. We have to start with that. And if you ask me, do we need to start amending things? I think we should start addressing some of our laws, but not exactly to be copying what is in the West. Why? Because if we do that, we kill our culture. I believe we have a culture that is more, if we give our people a good orientation and we are a cultural people, we don't live individualistic life in Africa. They live that in the West, everybody on his own. To even talk to others, you're very careful to talk to anybody. But the way we do our own thing is different. And that is why, because of that, it becomes a difficulty in us to be able to understand the thin line between when a man's conduct has become a sexual harassment or when you can't really call it a sexual harassment and an advancement. Because for me, there's no way you'd eventually marry a girl without first starting with a step of an advancement. That is the first step you need to do in entering a relationship. It's not a contract like contract you're having company to company and you're sitting on the table and you say, okay, let's have a contract. It starts with a relationship. And how do you start a relationship? You initiate communication. Communication can be in a verbal, it can be in a non-verbal form. Communication can even be in a kind of body language. So that's why it's a bit difficult because there's a tiny difference. And that's why over time they've been dividing, for instance, if what you're showing, especially at workplace, and we shouldn't forget that National Assembly is actually the workplace of the senators. And we have some standards that are binding on Nigeria, the ILO standard, International Labour Organization standard, and some other standards. And there have been judgment of National Industrial Court also on the issue of when you're a superior. And that is the dangerous position Akpabio finds himself. When you are superior, I know they are all equal as senator, but he is occupying the leadership position. So if you have to apply the laws that talked about fiduciary duty of a superior in the office, that will automatically apply to Akpabio. And that is, you need more, how do I put it now? You need more responsibilities are expected from you when you are relating with somebody you are not at par with in a workspace. And that is why I said it's a bit difficult. For instance, there are clear ones. For instance, you are forcing a physical contact with somebody, such as probably hugging the person, hugging a colleague against their will. Okay. That's a clear sexual harassment. All right. Okay. Or you're showing like a sexual favor, you're requesting in exchange for work-related benefits and others. That's a clear one. Or what example can I think? Well, unwanted physical contact, like you're brushing against somebody or you're grouping a colleague, whether intentionally or under guise of an accident. But if your intention is able to be shown that this is what you intend to do, that's an or maybe like inappropriate, you're staring at somebody, excessive attention you're giving to somebody, and particularly you are objectifying the person, directing it against her body. You are more like you are in the street palace, you say you are citing her. So if you're citing somebody, you are citing, so you are citing her, that could be sexual. But at the same time, it may not even be like the one I just mentioned. It may not be you that is just absent-minded. You're looking at a lady, but your mind is somewhere else. And all these things can be raised easily and said, oh, why are you sizing me? Why are you looking at me? Why are you objectifying me? So it's so fluid, but some are clear. For instance, now if you are making derogatory or some inappropriate, salacious, comments about your colleague in the office who happen to be of opposite sex, but the most dangerous part of it or ironical part of it is when female, female, they also do that. Because I work in office before where an elderly woman will come to you, will call you dude. Each time she will tell you, you are very handsome, this boy. Where's your girlfriend? Let me know who you are dating and things like that. But in African culture, we don't really see that as sexual harassment. But if you turn the table and that woman happened to be a man and you happen to be a girl, that is when we raise issues. And rightly so. I'm not condemning that, rightly so. Why? Because statistics have shown that the higher number of people that rape or involve or victim of sexual harassment are female. So that is rightly so, but not to disregard the minority male also who have been sexually harassed on an everyday basis now. So the point I'm trying to make is every relationship, particularly relationship between the opposite sex, starts with a step. And it starts with communication. That communication can be verbal, that communication can be non-verbal. And that communication can be mistaken for anything. It's different from inappropriate touching, kissing, rubbing, cursing, and all those. But those communication are the area that are so very critical and so fluid that nobody can easily tell. And anybody can raise any issue from there and attack you and say that you've been sexually harassed. But in all this, if someone is sexually harassed, go to court. I've said it. Don't just make noise on the TV. Don't allow the case to die. And that's why I like them in the Western world. Go to court, go and prove your case. If you're able to prove, fine, you're vindicated. If a man goes down today, tomorrow, anybody in the position of authority will know that, oh, be careful when you're dealing with opposite sex, because anything can happen. They can come out against you. But at the NDDC woman raised the one against Akpabio. What has happened today? Nothing. Wike, who was protecting that woman today, is now Akpabio's friend. They've become friends now. So what has happened to that woman? Nothing. And consider so many people that raise the kind of issue in our society. The question you should be asking yourself is, how many? Because I used to watch there's a particular program on channels. What they do is they report all this crime, ritual, sexual assessment, or harassment, and all these things. But if you check today, you realize that what they reported like a year ago, you won't see a follow-up story on it. Have they taken them to court? As the court convicted them? What is happening? We don't follow up. And we don't even have channels dedicated to this that should be doing that and then follow up to a logical conclusion so that we can sanitize our society. So the summary of it all is not the law that will sanitize our society for us. Leadership should take responsibility. And most importantly, I beg people around me, I've dealt with rape victims before. I've defended the rape victim in court before, even though I lost the case, all right, which pains me so much. I know there's this, you see, when you meet a rape victim, if the first thing you're saying is that you don't believe that it is true, it's a disservice to the fight against rape in the world. Because the more you do that, and the more people that do that, the more you empower people that rape. We don't need to believe a rape victim or somebody who's alleging of rape. We don't need to believe them immediately. But we need to empathize and say, okay, let's find a way. What I think society should be doing is, okay, let's see if we can prove it. That's what I think we should. Okay, let's see if we can prove it. You don't need to continue tarnishing this person's character. Let's just continue and see if we can prove it. But if our first reaction is that we don't agree, or like one man title today, oh, she has 6 kids. So if she has 6 kids with different father, does that mean then she should be harassed sexually?
Bros, where make I send your NSC?
It doesn't mean she should be harassed sexually. Yes, you can have 6 kids with different fathers. Circumstances do come. Life happens to people. You know, and it can happen to anybody. We don't know life happens to people. We don't. But does it mean? No, that's stereotype. That's stereotype. Because you can. I've met ladies that ordinarily you would think they are ladies of easy virtue, the way they talk, the way they speak. But when you get close to them, you realize that they are the strongest in terms of moral standard. I've met people like that. When they dress up, you think, the way this one is dressing. But get close to them. You realize that these ones, they are even better than those ones that you see in church and mosque every day.
But Nwebonyi, can life happen to someone 6 times?
You said?
Can life happen to someone 6 times?
It can happen 10 times.
An educated individual, educated, well-educated,
Life can happen to anybody 1 million
in
times.
2024.
Please, can I quickly correct something here? I don't know if Woman is still watching. I did my research and I actually asked my staff to dig into Natasha's 6 children claim. Everything we found so far was that she has 3 kids. So please, where is this information about 6 children coming from? I don't know if
it's
Woman.
Don't mind Woman though. Woman title. You are taking it serious.
I don't know where it's coming because I actually asked my staff. I'm like, I have a blogger, I have a PA and all that. I'm like, I need you guys to help me find everything about this Natasha. Where is the 6 children coming from? Everything we saw is just 3 kids. Oh, please don't let us put this information out there, please.
No, it's not disinformation. And they said they call it is it journalist license? Something license. That's what they said they call it. I've complained about clickbait. There was a day, was it Jamie that came here too? He wanted to be complaining about this, and I referred him also to his own heading, his own title. They are like that. The vlogger and others, that's what they do. They just put up one title that attracts people.
Oh, Nigeria, God help me. We need deliverance in Nigeria, I swear. Oh God. All this just make me, I feel sorry for our Nigerian women, and I also feel sorry for our men. And some of this mindset that we have when we are looking at issues like this, I think is probably part of the reason.
I don't think one man pulled it out of the hell. That's that gentleman, that senator that was on Arise TV. I think he made mention. I think that's where one man got it.
Don't listen to those people, please. All those senators that are speaking, they are all speaking from their ass. I'm sorry. They are speaking from their ass.
That said that. That's
there are many of
I think that man on Arise TV said something about her, having children from multiple men.
Wow.
Okay, even if she have 6 children from other men, that's automatically exonerate her from being harassed.
No. We are not saying that. Listen, my argument is not about in defense of Akpabio. But what it seems like a malicious thing to me. It seems like she's playing. It seems all malicious, really.
See, my brother.